Hello, dear friends. Welcome to another study. Here we are with another issue, an article from the Spiritist magazine. Every week, we discuss one article from the Spiritist magazine. And you ask me, what is the Spiritist magazine? The Spiritist magazine is a periodical that comes out every 3 months that brings to you the various topics on the Spiritist doctrine and science. The Spiritist magazine comes from the inspiration of the good spirits in order to bring to you and I many topics in the English language. It's sponsored by the International Spiritist Council and led by the editor-in-chief, Vanessa Saloni, whose interview you can watch in our playlists. We have interviewed her recently about the story of the Spiritist magazine or the history of the Spiritist magazine, and then also how everything comes about. So it's a collaborative enterprise in both worlds. There are many different people who come together in order to bring the Spiritist magazine to you. And I want to bring it to your attention the website spiritistmagazine.org. While folks are joining us, I want to make sure that you feel free to interact with us today and always. If you go to this website, you'll be able to download the PDF version of the Spiritist magazine, which you're going to see shortly on the screen, the app for your cell phone or for your tablets on the Apple and Android platforms, where you can read all of the issues of the Spiritist magazine free of charge. You can also, if you wish, order the physical copy of the Spiritist magazine. There are many different ways and no excuses for us to share the good news of the Christ and also to inform ourselves and gain the knowledge we need to improve our lives today, preparing ourselves for a better tomorrow. If you were to download the PDF version of the Spiritist magazine, that's what you would see. That's what the article for today is. And today's article is from issue 48. So I'm going to browse to the cover of the Spiritist magazine. That's the cover of the Spiritist magazine, issue 48, published back in January of 2020. Today's article talks about pollution and psychosphere. And if you remember, we have actually studied this other one, In the Air by the Spirit the Mirror. We also have looked at this article here that's titled Blessed Spiritism. We also have talked about unexpected renewal. And there are many different articles and issues, including this one, Greatness is the one we've done before. And this time we're going to be talking about pollution and psychosphere. So let me make sure that I can remove the thumbnails. And the Spiritist magazine is also for the little ones. At the end of each issue, you will find a story, a cartoon-like story that you can use with your children as well, for all ages, from infant to discarnation, from the cradle to the grave. Because if the parents learn it, they can also, the infant and the baby can also benefit. When your children are able, we should teach them since the beginning that they're mortal spirits. They're here to serve God and fulfill God's plan for us in this lifetime. And once they can have more interactive, they can even read. They can read themselves the cartoons that we have at the Spiritist magazine. So many different ways that we can study and learn. And this is the issue for today, the article for today, that is called Pollution and Psychosphere. Based on time and interest, I'm going to focus on the second part of this article. So this article is from the book After the Storm by the Spirit. I'll make it a little bigger. By the Spirit, Joanna de Angelis, through the mediumship of Divaldo Franco. And Joanna titled this chapter Pollution and Psychosphere. And here she's talking about the physical and spiritual pollution. that the planet Earth experiences. So I'm going to summarize the first part, which talks about how to cope with pollutants on lakes, rivers, landfills, and surrounding cities. That's the price we're paying for our technological progress, the commodities that allows our lives to be better, but also that we are right now pouring millions of tons of trash, oils, and other residues everywhere. And with the increase in population and technological progress, we also observe today the effects of climate change in the world that also has to do with our the way we've related with nature throughout times. So she's also gonna mention to us the noisy cities and their damaging effect in our lives. And science is already catching up. The fact that if you live closer to a polluted area and polluted air, polluted rivers, your health is going to be less than if you live in a place without those pollutants. That is also true for noise. It's very important that we have times of quiet, and quiet and silence is a very rare commodity as well. We're not talking about overlooking all of this as a pessimistic observer, but also we want to talk about what can we do as spirits, as incarnated beings on the earth, to decrease our impact in the natural resources. We're also going to bring light to our appetite for profit that makes it decline, the decline of forest and resources, upsetting the natural balance and devastating regions. The loss of natural habitat not only affect the animals and the plants, but also ultimately humans. So she's going to bring our attention to that. We want to talk about, she's going to bring attention to garbage dumps and the folks who live there. And in here talking about solving this problem. So the ability of world leaders to offer solution and programs, many measures put in place. So at the same time, she's bringing our attention to the problem. She's also thinking about how we have also evolved to cope with the things we have created, such as reforestation, prohibition of internal combustion engines, recycling of garbage to obtain fertilizers, controlling the use of pesticides. Yes, there's a lot of pesticides that are harmful to human health in our food right now. Non-polluting means to generate power, increasing vegetation in the cities. That's a good one for urban planning. It's think about last time you had a park next to your house and ability to walk and be with nature. That's very, very important. Also, vegetation also decreases the effect of heat that can be lethal in areas where there's poverty and people are unable to maintain adequate temperature to live. So she was going to bring all of that to our attention. She also gonna bring to our attention waste. We produce a lot of food and energy and waste, but we also have a lot of vast swaths of the humanity that are unable to enjoy the things that you and I enjoy. And then she's going to bring attention to that. All of that to say that I want you to go and read the chapter for yourself. And the best kind of spiritist is someone who's trying to making efforts to apply these teachings to our daily lives. So there's no more excuse for us to bury our heads in the sand, but it's very important that we take ownership of what am I doing, what are my actions, how are my actions affecting others, not only other humans, because I have rights, they have rights, but rights come with responsibility. And then there is a collective responsibility of caring for one another. So the actions you take today will promote or not the health and well-being of all of us in the future, not only in this lifetime, but remember, we may reincarnate on the earth. So when we reincarnate again after this lifetime, what kind of world do we want? But she's going to focus on, I want us to focus on one specific kind of pollution, which is mental pollution. So I'm going to make it really large so we can read it and discuss together. Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger so it's easier for me to focus on what I want to talk about. Okay. And the reason we use the PDF version of the Spiritist magazine, that I want you to feel how easy it is. When you download this to your computer, you'll be able to do what I'm doing right now. I'm just zooming in and out on a PDF reader. If you download the app, you can zoom in out, pinching in with your fingers. So this is very important. She says here, humans are creating an even more terrible pollution, such as poisonous as the physical pollution, as it is uncontrollable due to an unfortunate attitudes in which they complacently dwell. We refer to mental pollution. It is an interference in the psychospheric ecology of intelligent life, intoxicating the minds from the inside outwardly and disrupting them from the outside inwardly. So let's dwell on this for now. So what kind of mental pollution are we producing? So she's saying there's an ecology, there are a balanced ecosystem around us. All of the beings on the planet and all of the spiritual principle experiences in the mineral, vegetable, and animal kingdom are in balance, should be in balance. So each and every creature has his or her own position in order to keep the balance of the earth. That's the physical balance that you and I as humans are interfering with by utilizing the means of the technological progress that we have that have byproducts. But what kind of mental pollution we are producing that is affecting the psychospheric ecology? Let's go back to the book Foreign Life, or maybe if you haven't heard of it, let's go to the book Foreign Life by Emmanuel, where Emmanuel describes the thought creates the environment we are. The thoughts travel outwards from our minds out to the universe, travel through the universal cosmic fluid, combines with like-minded thoughts, and then those thoughts, those waves return back to us. So there's an ecology, there is a relationship between the psychospheric elements all around us. And when we have mental pollution, it interferes with that ecology of intelligent life, the life that produces thoughts and ideas. It intoxicates us the same way that the pollutants of the physical can intoxicate us. I'll give you an example. Lead. Lead's a neurotoxic. So that if you live in a house with high levels of lead, the children can have delayed in their learning, for example. That's an intoxicating effect of a metal that is naturally occurring in nature, but we have used in high concentrations over paint, for example. We don't do that with more modern paint formulations, but we all paint our houses and we look for low VOC paints, for example, which emanate less toxic gases, and then that will be less detrimental to our health. The same way with this mental pollution intoxicate us from the inside out and from the outside in. Because think about it, you're thinking, your thoughts are creating ideas, mental creations, in the book Mechanisms of Mediumship, Andrea Louise is going to talk about mental currents as well, connections of thoughts and attracting thoughts and repelling thoughts. So when we have this mental pollution, it's intoxicating for us. It prevents us from having the full faculties that we should have, just as any drug like alcohol, nicotine, illicit drugs, so on and so forth. Intoxication who prevent us from being the best we can. She describes to us, reminds us that Earth is a theater of vibratory clashes, of minds in disarray. So it is your mind currently in disarray since the pandemic started, when you and I are living these difficult times. We all are. And at times our minds may be in disarray because we're allowing ourselves the emotional contagion, the reactivity, the fear and the anxiety that are very capable of spreading like wildfire throughout us. And these clashes are from our minds. The mind is creating those clashes. And those vibratory clashes are the product of a lack of affection, unbridled ambitions, and hatred. Those are things that all human beings, the majority of them, if not all, will experience when we are incarnated on the planet of trials and expiations, with exceptions of those who are here in missionary reincarnatory experiences. And what happens when we have these vibratory clashes and minds in disarray? We have consequences. There are waging of wars, aggression in the home, at work, in the streets. So the mental pollution is as affecting to us in this lifetime as it is physical means of pollution that affect the physical body. And then, dazed with anger and overcome by despair, people turn to the lower pleasures. They seek a measure of relaxation, only to fall into greater doses and derangements and suffering. Mental pollution thrives unhindered, preparing the ground for the visible and frightening pollution of morals. And this is where we may find ourselves today. And see, this Spiritist magazine issue, look here, I don't know if you can see, January of 2020, and what started in, at least in the US, in March of 2020, we were more aware and freaked out by the pandemic, which we are still living in. COVID is still with us. So are many other diseases that causes the death of the physical body, including disease of despair. But let's think about, if all of these is due to mental pollution, how can we counterbalance mental pollution? I'm going to make myself bigger. I have to make a comment right now. When we bring these teachings to you, the goal is to call for reflection. The goal is for you and I to see, I never thought about mental pollution. Or maybe I thought about it, but I didn't see how bad it was. I didn't see how much effect that had in our lives, in my life, or even how much mental pollution I was producing. And then now the consequences is that I participate on those unbridled emotions, reactivities, ambition, hated, and so on and so forth. So that's the goal. The goal is for you and I to move towards self-awareness, self-reflection, and self-improvement, because that's what question 919 of the Spiritist book says, that we need to sit and meditate and take account of our actions. And that includes our thoughts. Because maybe we're not waging wars with our hands here anymore. I'm not going out there and dwelling, inviting people to a duel with my coworkers, but I'm sending those mental thoughts, or even I'm using my words and my ears to propagate evil by backstabbing and gossiping. So that's the idea. The idea is not for us to feel guilt and shame. It's just to acknowledge we may have been in that situation and we want to do something from now on forward to improve. And she will say, it says, a program for correcting such dangerous state of things, however, was presented by whom? By our Master Jesus, who is, as Joanna says, the supreme ecologist. And here are the things that we're going to be invited, some of the things we're going to be invited to do from now on. He preserved and blessed nature. And through it, he demonstrated methods by which to attain happiness. He did in his incomparable teachings in examples. He applied the teachings in his daily lives, which were abundantly recorded in history. And that's the importance of studying the Old and the New Testament. Through them, he established the foundation of the kingdom of love and endless harmony where there's no pain or fears. That's our destiny. The kingdom of love and endless harmony where there's no pain and fears, that's the celestial divine worlds. Those are the realms where Christ spirits live. So Christ came to this earth and exemplified what it is to live in a place like this. What else he did? He never reacted. And that's important because when we have a mind in disarray, we are unable to even notice our own emotions. We are entangled with the emotion of others in both realms of life. We're not even aware. So we are reactive. We are reactive. We're not mindful and purposeful. We are intentional. We are reactive. But he always acted in wisdom. He never hurt anyone, but he himself was crucified. There was no aggression coming from him, but he let himself be attacked. Wherever he walked, he stimulated hope, brought consolation, tranquility, and peace. His paths were adorned with happiness and blessed by the fruits of restored health. Those are the healings that he created. A king in heaven, he became the humble servant of all, unaffected by the environment where he was to build a new life of future centuries. He relive his passage in your thoughts. Seek him. Pause a little in your difficult days and remember him. For every ill, he has the right treatment. And for all present calamities, he has the solution. Love and serve, therefore, as well as you can, as much as you can, and whatever you can. The earth will come out of the chaos in which it is involved. That's our hope for our future. The pure air will return, so will the clear water, the dormant grass and singing birds, the shining rays of the sun, and the twinkling of the stars. In the name of the Heavenly Father and Jesus, the ever-present Savior of us all. So, dear friends, this is what we want to do. Love, serve as well as we can, as much as we can, whatever we can. If anything, this current pandemic has brought to our attention the importance of helping one another and reaching out. The same way we reach out and help others when there is a natural disaster, when our friends and families are suffering, when someone in our Spiritist group is not doing well. It's through service that we show that we have learned the lessons of the Christ. And here is what we need to do this week. No reaction, but action with wisdom, never hurting anyone. No aggression coming from us. Let's stimulate hope, bring consolation, tranquility, and peace everywhere we go with our friends and family members. Let's become this humble servant of all, unaffected by the environment where he was, to build the new lives of centuries. So today, the invitation not only is to look for ways we can copy and be guided by the words of Christ. We can imitate his words, actions, and deeds, serving and loving everybody, but also not be adding to the mental pollution around us, not adding to the disarray of the psychosphere around us, not being affected by the environment where we are. Of course, we are aware of the environment, we're mindful what's going on, we follow the happenings of the world, but when we enter places, we're not reactive, we're not absorbing those fears and anxieties, so that we can be a better instrument in the hands of the good spirits. Therefore, I invite you to go and meditate on this beautiful, most important topic of pollution and psychosphere by the Spirit Joanna de Angelis through the mediumship of Divaldo Franco. And I didn't show you this, so let's do it now. This book, this chapter 3 of the book After the Storm by the Spirit Joanna De Angelis through the medium Divaldo Franco. Unfortunately, this book is out of print. One more reason for you to go and actually read this message from the Spiritist magazine. And that was chapter 48, published in January of 2020. Dear friends, what a blessing to be with you. And I hope that between now and the next time we meet, you can meditate on the teachings of Joanna, seeking her words of wisdom and connecting with her so that she can help you as well. May you be able to feel the loving presence of your mentors with us, with your spirit guides, with the spirit workers in the spiritual realm that are all around us, just waiting for us to be an instrument and helping them each and every day. And between now and the next time we meet, many, many blessings. Stay well, stay safe, help someone around you, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.